Collins had always believed she could handle everything life threw at her. At 26, she lived alone in a sleek high-rise apartment in the heart of the city, worked a demanding job in a digital media, and maintained an online image of a woman who had everything under control. Her photos were flawless, her caption confident, and her life seemingly perfect. But perfection was a lie she told the world and herself. 4 months earlier, Amara had given birth to a baby boy she named Ethan. His arrival had changed everything. The father, once attentive and promising, vanished the moment responsibility became real. Amara told people she didn't care. She said she was better off alone. Yet, every night when the apartment grew quiet, except for Ethan's cries, the weight of loneliness pressed hard against her chest. Sleep became a stranger. Deadlines piled up. Bills arrived faster than her salary. Friends stopped calling when she could no longer join them for late dinner and weekend outing. Her mother lived far away and could only help through phone calls filled with advice and worry. Amara listened, nodded, and pretended she was fine. That Thursday was worse than most. Ethan had cried almost non-stop, refusing milk and sleep. Amara had an important presentation the next morning, one that could determine whether she kept the job or not. Her boss had made it clear that patience was running out. By evening, her hands trembled as she tried to focus on her laptop. Ethan finally fell asleep close to 9 p.m., his tiny chest rising and falling softly. Amara stared at him for a long moment, guilt and love strangling painfully in her heart. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown member. "I have something important to tell you about Ethan's father. Meet me tonight." Amara frowned and ignored it. Minutes later, another message came. "If you don't come, you will regret it." Her mind raised curiosity mixed with unresolved anger. She told herself it was probably nothing, but the thought refused to leave her head. After pacing the living room, she made a decision she would later wish she could take back. She arranged pillows around Ethan, turned on baby monitor, and whispered a promise she believed she could keep, that she will be back soon. Locking the door behind her, Amara stepped into the night, convinced it would only take a few minutes. The meeting place was a rooftop lounge filled with music, laughter, and bright city light. It wasn't what she expected. The sender of the message turned out to be a woman named Lena, someone who had once worked with Ethan's father. Lena spoke vaguely, cycling around the truth, ordering drinks as she talked. Amara rarely drank anymore, but exhaustion lowered her guard. One drink blurred into another. Her phone vibrated with a notification from the baby monitor, but she silenced it without looking, telling herself Ethan was fine. Just one more minute, she thought. The world tilted. Her limbs grew heavy. The last thing Amara remembered was resting her head on the table, the music fading into a distant horn, and darkness swallowed her conscience. Back in the apartment, Ethan woke up crying. At first, his cries were loud and sharp. Filling the room, minutes passed. No footstep came. No familiar voice answered him. The baby monitor battery died quietly. Unnoticed, the air condition shut off and the room grew cold. Ethan's cries weakened and the night stretched on. A neighbor down the hall heard a faint sound, but dismissed it as noise from another apartment. The city outside continued its restless movement, unaware, the small life struggling in silence. Morning light crept into the apartment when Amara finally woke up on a stranger couch. Panic struck instantly. Her phone showed dozens of missed calls and messages. Fear unlike she had ever known flooded her body. She ran. Traffic felt endless. Every red light, a crude delay. When she reached her apartment, she burst through the door, calling Ethan's name, though she knew he could not answer. The silence was unbearable. She rushed to the crib. Ethan lay still, his skin pale, his tiny body frighteningly quiet. A scream tore from Amara's throat as neighbors rushed in and emergency services were called. At the hospital, doctor worked urgently. Ethan survived, but only just severe dehydration and exposure has pushed his fragile body to the edge. Amara sat, shaking in a hard plastic chair, unable to stop crying, replaying every decision that led to this moment. Questions followed. Had one's authority become involved? Social services stepped in to ensure Ethan's safety. When the story leaked online, the judgment was swift and merciless. Headlines painted Amara as heartless and careless and cruel. She lost her job. Friends disappeared completely. Alone in a small, quiet room, stripped of makeup, social media and excuses, Amara was forced to face the truth she had been avoiding for months. She had needed help and had been too proud or too afraid to ask for it. Weeks passed. Therapy sessions began. Parenting classes followed. Court supervision monitored every step of her life. Slowly, painfully, Ethan recovered. His cries returned strong and demanding, a sound that filled Amara with both relief and shame. The day she was finally allowed to hold him again, her hands trembled. Tears dropped onto his blanket as she pressed her forehead against his. She promised him then, not with the words meant to impress anyone, but with quiet resolve that she will never abandon him again. Some mistakes leave scars that never fully fade, but sometimes, if the lesson is learned and the heart is truly changed, life offers a second chance. Amara often thought about that night. The silence, the waiting, the moment she realized how close she had come to losing everything that mattered. The memory never left her. It followed her in quiet room and sleepless her, not to punish her, but to remind her. Ethan grew stronger with time. His laughter slowly replaced that cry once haunted her dream. Every smile became a second chance. Every heartbeat a reminder that love requires more than good intention. It demanded presence, sacrifice, and humility. Amara learned that strength was not pretending to have it all together. Real strength was asking for help before the damage was done. It was choosing responsibility over escape, even when life felt overwhelming. Some nights, as the city lights glowed outside their window, Amara held her son a little tighter. She knew she would never be perfect, but she also knew she would never be careless with love again. Because one moment of neglect can almost destroy a life, and one moment of awareness can save it.